I guess it's still not clear how much the Prime Minister knew about Peter Mandelson's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein last Wednesday when he stood up in the House of Commons and stood by his US ambassador. Now, of course, within 24 hours, the ambassador was gone. And the Conservatives are out for blood, and they're hoping to pressure the Prime Minister into resigning without calling on him to resign. Because, well, lying to Parliament, in their eyes, is not that big of a problem if you're a Conservative. Have a listen.
OK, so should he resign, Keir Starmer?
Well, I think we've got big questions that we need answered about him and his chief of staff. You know, what did they know and when? I think we need to see, what we're going to do first, Camilla, is use every parliamentary avenue available to us to try and get the information into the public domain for what actually happened and when, what happened in the vetting process, what information was given to the Prime Minister, what information was given to his chief of staff.
Well, hang on a minute.
Who overruled any concerns that were raised.
Laura Trott, you can't have a situation where the Leader of the Opposition is accusing the Prime Minister of lying to the House of Commons, misleading Parliament, which is a resignation offence, and then not call for him to resign. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, Peter Mandelson told Harry Cole on Tuesday morning that there was more information to come, Downing Street has sat on it, the Prime Minister's not been honest with MPs, and then when I ask you, should he resign, start obfuscating yourself.
I don't think it's obfuscating so much as being very clear about what the process should be from this point, Camilla. And I've said very clearly that Kemi is not buying it. I'm not buying it. I don't think the British public are buying it. The next step in this is to be transparent about all the information, and then we can go from there.
But hang on a minute, let's put it a different way. If the Prime Minister has lied to the Commons, do you agree that's a resignation event?
Yes.
Therefore, I'm asking you, Laura Trott, and you've been tweeting about this today. You've tweeted the following. At least Lucy Powell has the courage to call for a change of culture in Number 10 after the PM was in an absurd position this week defending the best pal of a paedophile. Will Number 10's candidate Bridget Phillipson do the same? What you're saying is that you think Bridget Phillipson should follow Lucy Powell in calling for a change of culture in Number 10. We all know what that means. That means calling for a change of leadership. So when I ask you, should Keir Starmer resign, why isn't the answer yes? Put your money where your mouth is.
I absolutely am. I'm saying, on the basis of the information that we have right now, the Prime Minister has lied, right? But
she won't say he has to resign for the simple fact that they want to drag this out. They don't want him to, the Conservatives don't want to say the Prime Minister should resign, because all he'll have to do then is turn around and say, I inadvertently misled Parliament. Sorry about that. I want to correct the record. And then it'll be over. See, the Conservatives want to put pressure on him. They want to drag this out. They want to create a saga out of this. They want to create a massive scandal out of this so that it will undermine the Prime Minister. If they call for him to resign and he says, OK, I'm sorry, I misled Parliament, then it's over. But if they're saying, well, we need to have investigations into what he knew, what he didn't know, what emails were sent, and there's a legitimate reason for calling for an investigation, but they're too afraid to say, well, he should resign, because the whole thing would be over in a day. Because all he'd have to say is, I'm sorry, I inadvertently misled Parliament. I want to correct the record. And then it's done. Now, there's also the other issue. The Conservatives are in a bit of a difficult spot calling for ministers to resign, including the Prime Minister, if they have misled Parliament, if they have lied to Parliament, because, you know, their current leader lied to Parliament when she was a business secretary. Boris Johnson lied to Parliament every time he stood up in Parliament. Rishi Sunak lied to Parliament. The government ministers and prime ministers within the Conservative Party lied constantly to Parliament, but got away with it. They were never challenged. They were never forced to correct the record. I called it out on I don't know how many occasions. So they're not going to say, well, he has to resign because he lied, because they'd actually have to prove that he lied. So what they want instead is they want to have an investigation and drag it out as long as possible, because it becomes embarrassing for the Prime Minister and Number 10. So I think if I don't know if Keir Starmer will do this. I don't know if Number 10 would do this. But if I was in his position, I would eat some humble pie. I would stand in front of Parliament next time and I'd say I inadvertently misled Parliament. I shouldn't have said these things about the US ambassador. Although he didn't say, as far as I know, from the last PMQs, he sort of just defended the US ambassador. He didn't actually put a lot of information out in the public domain in PMQs. Maybe he said something during interviews, but that's a separate issue. If he has to resign to lying to Parliament, that's a parliamentary issue, not something he says in an interview with the media. But the Conservatives calling for him to resign over lying is a bit ironic. But also, I think what they want to achieve here is a saga dragged out for as long as possible in order to embarrass the Labour Party and in particular Number 10 and the Prime Minister. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.